Today we've got Navin, or Noia, as he is more commonly known. A good friend of mine, someone along with Yer, one of the first people I really got close with in the fighting game scene. I'm generally looking to ask a bit more open questions to start, so what's your life like? What are you about?
Oh man, that is open. Damn. Okay, well, thanks for having me on first. What's my life like? What am I about? I'm all about having a good day, and if I can do that sequentially multiple times in a row, then I'm having a good life.
That's true. I was going to say you're having a good week, but you're thinking bigger than me.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I think big like that, it gets scary. You know, it's a lot of pressure. A whole week, good? That's tough. But good day, and then like another good day. I don't know. I can roll the dice on that.
You know, fair enough. A whole week implies 7. A whole life just implies stringing one into the other.
Exactly.
We can't all manage a blood meter.
Lord knows I can't. I think Naga's probably the last character I'll ever pick up in that game, so either him or Happy Calf.
I could see it.
I just don't do well with extra resources. Unless they passively just make you better without me thinking about it.
I got crazy news about Nagoriyuki. You do that new move, you never have to worry.
That's true. That's a good point.
We've got a great time to Nago on this one, by the way. Really breaking records.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're so disciplined about it. It was a whole 15 seconds.
I have a credit card in my discussions now, too. I can talk about Nago as much as I want, as long as I talk about other things before I pop.
Imagine your first question is just, so tell me about your credit score.
Just hypothetically speaking, if you wanted to buy a house right now, would the bank trust you?
I don't trust me.
I trust you. You're a trustworthy guy.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you.
Of course. So, yeah, I don't know. Outside of trying to have a good day, what goes into having a good day? What do you enjoy in your day? What don't you enjoy in your day?
Oh, man. Okay. Let's see. What do I... Okay. I'll have to give the safer publishing answer because, this will be on the internet. So, yeah, my employer could see it. I can't lay into them too hard.
What makes a great Saturday?
There you go. Well, what makes a great Saturday is having the entire day that's yours because you're no longer a student and now you work a plain 9 to 5. So when you're off, you're off. That has been the primary, well, one of the biggest drivers of my sequence of having good days is simply the fact that nowadays my time is mine, and I'm the novelty of that still hasn't worn off.
How long's that been?
3 years, and it still hasn't worn off.
Hell yeah. Sounds like you're living a good life then.
I would say so.
What do you do for work?
I'm a software developer with Electronic Arts.
Wow.
I make the app that you download to download The Sims. Is that what you're looking at here?
That works.
Yeah, when people who don't really play games that much, so they don't have a Steam account, Google how to play The Sims, and then they download the first result that comes up. That's me.
Would you say you're good at your job?
I suppose my hesitation in answering that is an answer in and of itself. I think that I'm good at some stuff in my job, but it requires it's a really broad skill set that you need, and a lot of it you do kind of have to fumble through and figure out yourself. So there are long stretches where I'm in something new that I haven't really done before, and it's not really something that anyone like onboarded me onto, so I'm kind of just lost and fumbling through it. And during those times, it is hard to feel like you're particularly good at it.
Do you think that you're good at that learning process, though?
Getting better, I would say. Figuring out where the resources are, who to ask, and also just getting more comfortable taking up space and asking those questions. Because that's another thing, is my job's fully remote, so it's kind of easy to get isolated and in my own head.
Yeah, I could see that. Very easy to just tell yourself, yeah, you know what? I don't want to bother this person, I don't want to ping this person, but
Yeah, exactly.
good to hear that you're occupying that a bit more. I think in general, I think we bonded very quickly over both being people who value learning, value meeting things where they're at, trying to, trying to bring in new information into your outlook on life rather than just going, this is what I'm doing and this is how it should be. So, sounds like you do have the right mentality for your work.
Learning and improving is fun, unless it's learning frame data. I don't do that.
Yeah. You must know what Nago's new move is by now. I say it to you enough.
I think it's -2, right?
You play like it is.
I really set you up for the I really set you up for the layup there.
Honestly, you're pretty good about the new move. It's clone that gets you.
I was so good about that the other day, though.
You were.
I think I mashed after clone once, and you still like almost murdered me. So
almost. You beat me 3-2. That's not almost murdered.
It was like one interaction. Like that was decidedly not decisive.
But that's what I'm saying. Murder's a strong word. I guess Nago almost murders you if he gets a hit in.
If Nago wins a round, he murdered you.
That's fair. Nago looks at you the wrong way, and he's almost murdered you.
Yeah.
He thought about counter hitting you, and if he did, God help you.
He's the boss character. That's just boss character privilege.
That is fair. Yeah, I think on that topic, we have played a lot over time. We play at this point, like, you know how I play, I know how you play. I think that you have always been a bit of a benchmark for me of like, you are always better than me. The exact distance there, I think, changes over time. But I always somewhat treat it as like, if I'm beating you, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm playing well. If I'm just like getting 3-0'd, like just setting shit, I'm like, I'm not playing very intentionally today. And I appreciate that you understand how I want to play, and you constantly tell me like, I don't super know what Nago does. Like, I think over time you've kind of accepted that you've internalized some counterplay, but
yeah, I'm really bad at explaining my process to other people. So, I guess in my head it's like very abstract, but sure, I like to think after playing you for God knows how many hours, surely I've noticed some patterns. But actually playing you it's always really interesting. You telling me that you kind of use me as a bit of a litmus test, but I think we've played so much, and I'm kind of the type of player where like I'm a lot better at learning the player matchup than the character matchup, I think. So I think the fact that we played so much, like there are times where I watch you play other players who are definitely better than me in bracket sets, and you pull out a win, or you just like you do some stuff I haven't seen you do, but then I'll play you, and like I'll win like handily, and yeah, so it's interesting you're telling me that I am sort of that benchmark for you, because I wonder if that could kind of skew it.
It could be, yeah. But I don't know. I think that is also partly just, as you're saying, you like to play the player matchup. I think Nago is the type of character where you do a lot better playing the player than you do playing the character, just off of like, he has so much shit he can do, he has so many options that like, understanding my habits, understanding what I want to do, does let you narrow it down in a way that's effective. Like, I don't know, I guess we don't really have enough local Nago players outside of like... Have you played Test Your Luck a lot?
I've actually never played him in a bracket set. The one time I was going to was the time a couple weeks ago where you beat me in bracket.
Well, then you weren't going to, were you?
No. It was looking like I would for a minute. I blame the glare on the icy stage personally, but we don't have to talk about that.
I blame the fact that I was born nasty. I was born nasty, I'll die nasty, and at no point did I put any effort into getting there.
May we all be so lucky.
That's interesting, because like I'm curious how much it would translate over of like... I don't know how much it is that you know how to play against Nago versus you know how to play against me. Like, you don't really get to play against other Nagos that much. Like, did you play against KillMe.com much while he was playing, or same thing?
Like a long time ago.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't think I played him in quite a while. I have some guesses on how it go based on like other characters who I played, and probably it would be like this is Tetsu like I'm talking about, so it's gonna be bad either way. But were I to play another Nago of similar skill who plays like distinct from you, I would probably find that very challenging for at least a while because of that. Like, you know, I learned the player, but I think maybe in my head, when I look at it after the fact, I've definitely learned the player matchup and not the character matchup. But in the moment, I might think I'm playing the character matchup. So I'll apply what I know to do against you, against a different Nago, and it just like won't work.
Interesting.
And I might not notice that within 3 games if I'm not playing with my whole ass.
That's fair. I could also see that being part of why I think the momentum shifted a bit recently in when we play, and I think part of that is also just I have a new move I'm playing a bit different. Probably something we've talked a lot about is calcified patterns and kind of just falling into your habits of what you do, whether it works or not. I just think that new move has been very good for me to kind of break out of that.
Yeah. Even outside of the new move, you've been playing really, really well lately.
Thank you.
So I wouldn't attribute it all to that. Like, and especially like you're saying, I have figured out some ways to deal with the new move, enough to the point where like I can't just point at the new move and be like, that's why I'm losing.
Yeah, it does add some Nago favorite texture to the matchup, though. I think like before, as you are well aware, I did not like how 2D interacts with Nago's kit, Geo2D. Now I have a low that is further arranged than Geo2D, and boy does that change things.
Yeah, and it's it also, like, the thought of IADing at you, like, now I have a more reason to do that, but I don't like having reason to do that. I don't like IADing at Nago very much if I can avoid it.
Oh yeah, like, I think that something you always did very well in the matchup is that, like, a lot of Geo players I would see would just, like, you do the first thing at them, and they will IAD at you, and then you can anti-air them, and, like, I don't really care if Geo's jumping without 50, and if she's jumping with 50, like, if it's not going to kill me or wall break, cool. Spend your tension to dive kick me.
Yeah, now it's your turn afterwards anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that you are generally very good at just holding your ground, making people whiff. I think that your statement of being someone that tries to play the player a bit more is generally tracks with how I see you. Like, I guess just to fully vocalize this, I'm trying to think of how to like frame it as a question and not just kind of make a leading statement. But like, you are not someone that boots up the game a ton in your leisure time. Like, at least not playing with other people. Were you before?
Yeah, I guess when I started attending locals, and this is now talking like 2-3 years ago kind of thing, so it has been a while. I was playing. I still never found myself like grinding online. It like initially the floor system just sucked, and I was just kind of like, in 10.5 hell, and would get really tilted. That's actually one big thing is like, I think in person offline I'm pretty well mannered, and I don't tend to get that tilted. I would like. Yeah, you won't see me like throwing my controller or anything like that. I might leave the room and take a breath and then come back in and I'm fine. But like online, I get wildly tilted because the other person is just a faceless goon who I have nothing but contempt for.
Yeah,
and it makes the act of grinding the game in that way like pretty draining.
Could definitely see that.
So even when I was playing the game more actively, I'd be more of a lab monster at the time than actually like playing a lot online. And then I would do like one kind of online bracket. I would always do the online local. Shout outs to them. On Saturdays, and that was kind of like that was it for playing online.
Interesting. Yeah, you def.
I knew I needed it in small doses.
Hmm. It's good to know yourself in that way. You're a pretty introspective person, I think. Uh, do you? It seems like you agree with that statement. Do you think that introspection is something you had to build, or is it just kind of innate in you?
Uh, I think I've probably, I think I've always been that way.
Hmm.
To a degree, I definitely was like the quiet thinking kid in the back of the room, like
The Thinkler.
yeah, yeah. Every time I would, you'd catch me sitting in the back of class, like L's theme was probably playing. That's what I'm talking. No, that's just what I like to think, but that's the vibe.
Yeah, I think that tracks. We did not know each other at that age, but I think there is a mutual understanding of having been that kid. I think it also tracks in some of your character choices. You have been on the record saying that you think Kagura Mutsuki is very cool.
Wait, that's okay. What do you mean by that?
Whenever you play BlazBlue, you go, "Oh, Mutsuki's so cool. Love this guy."
That's true, but I mean, like, how does that relate to the previous thought?
He's just an edgy fucking character.
Ah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. I like a good edgelord. That's true.
Like, I feel like it doesn't track as much in the Strive I have characters, but like, I remember going like, "What? Why are you playing Kagura?" And then you went, "He looks really cool. I love this guy." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, that that tracks."
It's less his design and more his routing looks really stylish because he can just throw you all over the screen, and then he does like big fuck you damage.
Hmm. Fair enough. Fair enough.
And both of those like definitely release good chemicals in my brain.
Hmm.
The fact that he looks like Buff Sasuke is just kind of funny.
That's fair.
But, it is also it does have its own appeal. I can admit that.
Okay, yeah.
I like me a good Buster Sword.
Gotcha, but it's the coolness is more in the function than and the form.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he could also be a hot Brazilian, and I'd still be pretty into it.
Understandable. Yeah, you generally, like you're saying, you tended to be a bit more of a lab monster online. You like the combo structure in Kagura. Like, do you think that was something that came naturally to you in fighting games, or was it kind of something that you did have to give a bit to click?
Yeah, it definitely took a while to click. Like, I like the look of a cool combo, but when I'm actually playing, I don't think I look like a much of a combo or mix fiend. My execution is generally not that good. I would say, like relative to other players around our level, I think. And like, but I have always enjoyed like the stylish aspect of it. Like that's why Strive spoke to me as my first fighting game before any other that I might have like flirted with in years past. And that was all. Like I kind of always knew. I like dragged my feet on getting Strive, but I kind of always knew that I would like it when I eventually got around to picking it up. When a friend of mine had been playing it and kind of hassling me to get it, because I liked the look. Like all the character designs are super sick. The game's really like fun to look at. It feels like really crunchy. Like the game feel is always a big factor for me. And then it having like less open than an older anime fighter, but a relatively open combo structure and a lot of freedom in that way. And I think you said it once, like Drift RC is just like the source of so much sauce in the game. That really is like very uniquely Strive, right? All of that felt like similarly when I was playing a lot of Devil May Cry 5 for a while, and I didn't post like any crazy combo videos or anything, but I did have a lot of fun just in the lab there, like practicing whatever like obscure cancel tech. So I think it was just like a natural extension of that.
That makes sense. You do seem very good at figuring out how to put your A into B into C. Of like, when I watch you actually labbing stuff, you do generally you understand your launches, you understand your pickups. At least it seems that way. Like, was there a specific way you tried to look at your building blocks in order to have that full picture, or was it just kind of something that did come with time in?
Yeah, I don't think there's any big secret there. I'm hit button and see what happened.
Fair.
No, but like, I think part of what I like about Strive, and any anime fighter I might have played like ultra casually, like at friends' places kind of thing before, was that it was always more freeform. So I didn't need to like hard memorize routes as much, and you could just kind of like make shit up. And it's also like it's probably why a character like Geo makes sense in my head, because like you can make up block strings as you go. She's a character who is unusually like really incentivized to use her K and P buttons more offensively, I think, than a lot of other characters, because her slash is kind of like more situational. And her heavy slash is basically a far slash. So you can kind of just micro dash and hit those buttons, and then just be ready for like whatever counter hit confirm, and it's very freeform that way.
Fair, a very assessing the situation type of character.
Yeah, real vibes.
How would you respond to the accusation and that you're a fake ID gaffer that turns into Mr. Wants It So Goddamn Bad His Tummy Hurts the moment you see even a hint of a throw loop?
I think I've been okay. This is really funny to say this after this Tuesday, but I think I've been very well behaved in not crouching on throws too much. It was the thing I would tend to do, especially like at the start of new season when I hadn't learned new routes and stuff like that. Because like, okay, well, I don't know the combo here. There's no combo involving throws though. You can just do that, which is not the most like effective way to look at that. And also like throws a lot of the conditioning and all of that out the window. Like I know it's a bad habit.
If it works, it's not a bad habit.
Yeah, but it doesn't work that often. But it's so funny when it does. It's true. I do end up like just giggling.
I feel like you get in a mood.
Cackling.
Every few sets, you get in a mood and you just start throwing. And to your credit,
every respect,
when you're feeling that way, it usually works.
Yeah, I guess at some point I figured if I'm going to be the type of player to just send it and do this sometimes, I should at least like get better at recognizing when I might get away with it. So I think that's paid off a bit.
Yeah.
Like I felt when I did it in bracket the other day, it's hard to explain, but like I knew I was going to get away with it.
Yeah, like generally, whenever I see you do it, I am kind of like, okay, yeah, you're in the right spot for it. In the same way of like, sometimes Nago just does like bite you. Like sometimes, like I think it's more of a thing with grapplers that have like a big reward on their throw. But even then, like Geo is very strike throw. She's very just like, hey, you know what? Let me show you the lower reward option over and over again, so that you'll get impatient and ask yourself, when's the other one coming?
I think I love the thought that your interview is going to have a real like time marker that's just about throw loops. But I think the real moment of truth is always the third throw. That's the one where you're like, all right, like the second one, yeah, okay, you're like trying to get in my head, you know, you're feeling around. The third one is like, are we committing? Are we doing this?
Yeah,
that's always the one that like I think is the real decider.
Do you think we'll still be friends after summer camp?
Exactly.
You know what? I think we just might be.
We've probably been through it a few times. we somehow managed to come out the other end.
Yeah. Yeah, I think going a bit broader. I wasn't originally planning on going into Strive this soon, but it was very convenient. Started talking about Nagoriyuki and one thing leads to the other.
It's been known to happen with you.
We all have our habits.
This is true.
I think you're generally someone that, I don't know, you don't like doing the same thing too much. You like having a lot of hobbies, you like having a lot of different creative outlets. I guess first off, what do you think actually, why do you think that is? Why do you think that you like to have your fingers in a lot of pies, so to speak, versus like really tunneling in on that one thing?
It's a few things, I guess. I would say I'm definitely someone who just finds a lot of things like interesting at baseline. It's something I feel is one of my better qualities, is that I can kind of get into a conversation with people about almost anything, and it's either something I know about and I'm down to like geek out about it, or it's something I don't know about it, but unless I'm like just in a mood that day or something, I'm usually pretty down to ask questions and learn more about it. So I guess I'm just kind of engaged that way. And then there is also just when you pick up something new and everything's very novel and you can feel yourself improving at that really fast rate at like the start of things, like that is also an addictive part of the process. But of course that's kind of maladaptive, because it means that the minute I plateau in something, it's very easy to be like, well, I'll just like focus on any one of my other like 14 hobbies.
I think that at least with Strive, even if you're not as committed as you used to be with it, you have stuck that out. Do you think there's something specific about it that has really made you want to push past that plateau, or is it more about game stuff?
I just like showing up because I happen to like the Montreal FGC. Like that's why I started showing up in the first place. Right? Was I finished school, I started working. All my friends from school who were not from Montreal all moved back to their hometowns. So that first year, like I really was like basically starting from square one at a job where I wasn't seeing anyone in person. So I like needed something. And actually, I think that's what prompted me to even just like pick up Strive in the first place. Was I kind of knew like in a few months that was like gonna be the case. So I thought like, okay, well, we can try fighting games. For a little bit, I thought about playing Magic again. Just for a little bit. I don't know. There are probably a few others that I thought of, but yeah, that's what I landed on.
And I guess going into a bit more specifics, I guess just open invite to talk about the other stuff you do have going on right now. What are the other hobbies you're engaged in?
Oh man. Well, let's see. The ones
you can go one at a time, of course. Don't worry too much about having to encompass it all in one.
Okay. Well, the one I've been like just unable to shut up about because it's taken a lot of space in my brain is playing tennis again.
Yeah.
I used to play in middle school and high school and kind of fell off around the point that it started getting hard, which might be a recurring theme with a lot of these. Around the point where the lessons weren't challenging me. So coach was saying like compete in tournaments, like try and push through like that initial barrier, and I just didn't like failing, so I just didn't. Just dropped it. Now I get to relearn that stuff, but I get to play it on my own terms. If I do enter a weekend league or something like that, like I plan to later in the summer, it's going to be with other like novices, and it's just going to be a good time because no one there is like, trying to be a varsity track athlete at this point.
Yeah.
Same thing with piano that I've been practicing lately. Something I played as a kid, but then, when you're a kid, when you're that age, like anything you pick up, there's always kind of even if your parents like aren't pushing you to take it really seriously or anything like that, like there's always kind of an air of expectation and pressure that like this could be your thing. There's so much possibility, and you're always going to you're going to be in the same circles as people for whom it is their thing, who are like miles ahead of you because they've been doing it since first grade. And so it can be hard to stay motivated in that environment. Whereas now when I go back to these sorts of things as an adult and I choose it for myself, it just is way, way, way more fun. It's actually crazy. But then at the same time, I'm like, damn, this would have been nuts if I'd stuck with this.
Yeah,
like,
but
I'd have so much more to show for it.
Your relationship with it would probably be a lot different, though.
That's true. That's always the thing I tell myself after I have that thought. Is like, well, then it wouldn't fill the same role for me now.
I get that, though.
And what else? Still musicking. Like, check out my one song on Bandcamp that I posted I think 11 years ago. It's Pay What You Want. Yeah. Yeah. I'm solidly. I'm definitely like a noodler. Like when I'm producing music now, I know I'm playing with toys, and that's fine. I'm good with that now. But that was another thing where like when I started, uh, I was out there like trying to finish songs and get releases and put them out on like some of like the like YouTube labels like Monster Cat and stuff like that, like way back in the past. And I had some close brushes with that, and that was like very exciting, very validating, but also like not sustainable unless I was like really gonna try and make a go of it, right? Um, yeah, I guess those would be the big ones.
What do you think pushed you away from that at level of engagement you were at with music? If you're saying like, if you want to keep going that way, you would have to really want to make something of it. Like,
Uh,
was it just like a level of investment past where you were, like hitting the wall, so to speak, as you were saying?
I think that's probably what I would tell myself, but that would be, I guess, this is where the introspection comes in because I would tell myself that, but that would probably be a coping mechanism because the real answer is that when I was that age, and still in some ways, I really like did not tolerate failure well. So if I thought I could fail, I would rather just not do it.
I can relate to that.
I stuck to things that I was, naturally talented at. I think a lot of my identity growing up was being someone who was like naturally pretty smart in school and like had all these other things that they could do that very few other people could. Which was it was a very privileged position to be in, and I recognize that. But yeah, it did make me very like afraid and unwilling to fail.
Do you think that's something that you've managed to move past a bit, or is it still a big factor in your life? Like you were saying, it still somewhat plays a part, but like
it still somewhat is. Like I still feel it, but I also these days am a lot more comfortable with getting my ass beat, which is I can partially credit coming to locals for that, because like that's getting your ass beat in a very like visceral way. It happens in the span of like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and like you just gotta hold it.
Yeah, no, fighting games give you that immediate feedback of like, damn, I'm shit and I'm not allowed to play anymore.
Yeah, I'm just not him.
Yeah, one day you could be. Gotta play less tennis. Yeah. Play a little less tennis, sit down at that computer a little more, maybe you could be somebody. You've been making too many friends.
Yeah, I gotta sit down, I gotta focus, I gotta lock in on the important things. Mastering Giovanna's F Shiki.
Do you think that... how do I phrase this? I have an idea in my head, but I'm trying to figure out exactly how to vocalize it. I guess, as someone that also, like, we've talked a little bit about it, I don't think we've ever gone super, super in-depth about it, just because it's a very nebulous thing, but I think I'm also someone that... I wouldn't even say I'm afraid of failure, but I have that visceral reaction of, like, the equivalent of, like, you do something that hurts and your brain goes, I shouldn't keep doing that. And, I don't know, there's obviously a type of person that's not natural to, or at least that is comfortable enough with it that they can claim that it's not their natural response to it. But, I don't know, how do you manage that feeling of, like, at least for me, when I, like, don't meet my own expectations, I'm kind of like, damn, I'm fucking stupid and I'm terrible and none of this works. And, like, I know that I just have to keep going and I have to try to learn something past that, but it does feel like a bit of a shutdown. Like, I don't know, how do you balance that internal self-talk of, like, if you don't meet your standards when you do hit that wall, do you just kind of have to thug it out, or do you have some structure in place to deconstruct that?
To be honest, like I think I am probably a really poor person to ask this question because it is something I struggle with, as I'm sure you know. Like I think that is something I'm still figuring out and really have not mastered. And I know that the way I tend to deal with it is pretty maladaptive.
Hmm.
Like what I tend to do is like I set low expectations to begin with. I try to, and then I can feel okay when those low expectations are met.
Hmm.
Um, but then something complicated happens when I do much better than I expected.
Yeah.
And then because when you have low expectations, okay, well now I'm not really grinding, I'm not really working on this thing, so whatever happens happens. And then when you surprise yourself in the positive direction, you're like, well, fuck, I could like it would be great if I could capitalize on this and honestly put the work in
Yeah.
and just let go of the fear of the for me there's the fear is in having put everything I have into it and then still failing.
Yeah.
Like it's much easier to swallow the failure if I wasn't like working that hard at it to begin with, right?
I agree.
So in that sense, like I think I'm probably not the right person to ask this question. I certainly wouldn't want to.
Hmm.
I wouldn't want to hand out advice to any viewers about that because I would tell them to go ask whatever competitor in their community who they really respect because they probably have like a proper mindset about it.
Maybe I'm asking the question wrong. Like, for me, that thing of like, I don't think I'm the right person to ask. That's something I struggle with. Is part of why I'm asking it. Of like, I think it's also something I struggle with, but that I value finding the blocks to build that structure to move past it, and I think it's a very complicated thing. And I don't think we're gonna find the solution sitting on a Discord call at 7 p.m. But
That would be sick though if we did.
yeah, I mean, I think that's part of why I'm asking you about it. Like, ultimately, even just what you're touching on there is something that I don't think I would have vocalized at the start of the conversation, but rings very true to me of like setting a very low expectation. And the thing that always gets me is that once I hit that expectation, I move it. And the problem is, if you keep moving your expectation, eventually it won't be so low that you can hit it. And I don't know. I think even that was something that I was talking about with both you and Zion recently of like, I don't know, since just booting the game less and being employed, I have less time to play. So I just like, I have to care a bit more. There's less of a feeling of like, I can just keep queuing, fuck it, I'll learn eventually. And like, I think the biggest thing that has changed for me recently is just like, there was always kind of an acceptance of like, I would do better at out of region events where I would tell myself, yeah, you know what, I care about this. But it feels very hard to really earnestly say, yeah, I care about this one, because sometimes it does just not work out anyways.
It does, and the other thing is like if you only care about it when once in a while when the regional comes up, then you're doing yourself a disservice because if you care about it, like you need to work at it more consistently.
Yeah.
Right. If you're like you can't. It's not something you can cram for the way you can cram for like a test. Building the instinct and the muscle memory and everything that comes with it, and the matchup knowledge, all of that.
Yeah, you can't just do your work for the week, download the audiobook of The Inner Game of Tennis, listen to it on the way to Perfect Storm, and Armin do some good results there.
Yeah, I think I would be very impressed with anyone who can. But yeah, I think maybe that's the core of it. Is like I am when it comes to other stuff, I am the type to cram. Mm. So maybe brushing up against something that will punish you for doing that is what I find humbling about being in the FGC.
That's very fair. Like, I think even, it's something that, I don't know, I think you state that insecurity somewhat directly but indirectly. Like, to me, it's in a very direct way, but I don't know how other people interpret this sort of thing of, like, a lot of the time when we sit down recently to play, like, you will make some kind of excuse before we play, and, like, not in an at all serious way where I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's being serious, but, like, just in a kind of joking way of, like, almost to me, the translation of, like, you sit down and you say the equivalent of, like, can't do a kickflip today, I'm not wearing my skate shoes. And to me, that is an acknowledgement of, like, I would like to do well, but I am not 100% in my ability to. And I am somewhat uncomfortable isn't the right word, but I am somewhat apprehensive about fully accepting that fact.
Yeah, it's the classic option select. I think I think the my favorite like microcosm of this is something that like you've probably played Cards Against Humanity at some point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like every time you sit down at whatever gathering and you play Cards Against Humanity, there's always gonna be someone who's like, I only have bad cards, so I'm just throwing this one out there, like whatever.
Yeah.
That's a perfect option select because like okay, yeah, if no one laughs at your thing, if it makes no sense, if it totally bombs, like whatever, I'm only spending my cards. But if yours is funny, then it's like, wow, that was effortless.
Yeah.
Even with only bad cards, like I'm still just the funniest person in the room right now.
I think I used to be like that. It's a very tempting way to be, but I think it's I don't know, there's this kind of feeling of like as much as it can feel that way, I think everyone also like you're pointing out there, like everyone sees that you're kind of going, nah, but I don't care.
Yeah,
And
it's
in itself that is caring, and there's value in the earnesty of just saying, no, you know what, I care about this.
there is, and if there's one thing I appreciate about coming locals, it's like there are a lot of people who are very open about that.
Yeah.
Even if sometimes like I look at that and it kind of doesn't compute.
In what sense?
I just like I I want to understand how to be wired that way, but and I really don't mean this in a disparaging way.
Mm-hmm.
If I were wired that way, I want it to not be with fighting games because that just sounds very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, if I had like that flavor of autism, I really want it pointed at like something that's gonna make me money.
Yeah.
Bring me fulfillment in any other way. Make me healthier.
Yeah.
If I could really like barter for that.
Unfortunately, that's not always how it hits.
No, it isn't. But I still I respect the mindset still, and I still like I do wish I understood it a bit more innately.
Yeah,
the thought of people saying like, "I want this," I'm willing to like stake my ego on the line.
But I think that's a very interesting way of framing it, because to me, like, I don't know, like you're saying, like it's not that you don't want it, that you would not like to succeed in some way. To me, that thing of like I'm willing to stake this is almost just, I don't know, the way I would phrase this, like I don't mean this in an accusatory way to you. I like ultimately, if that's not how you're wired, that's not how you're wired. But for me, not engaging with things in that way, not staking some element of my ego on it, even just internally, is a matter of like, it feels like avoidance. It feels like I am avoiding who I am. Like, I think that, I don't know, I like lying to people in a like playful sort of way, like where to me it's very obvious and people go, what, that's not obvious, and I think that's funny. But otherwise, like, I think I'm a very earnest person, and it kind of just goes with that of like, there is always the temptation to go like, nah, I don't care about this. But then I play worse. And like, spending a month going, but I don't care about this, and occasionally winning, but mostly not, and having that feeling of like, sometimes I could have won that game if I just cared a bit more. And cared a bit more over a long period of time. Like, that's the thing that really eats at me.
Heard chef. Yes, it is avoidance. And no, you're articulating exactly the conundrum. And I mean, if there's one thing I really respect about you as a player, it is that you are very good about holding that and staying earnest, even when the alternative would be just a lot easier. I think that's something you are particularly good at.
Thank you. I try to be. I don't know. I remember when I first started playing a lot of the time, a lot of people would, like, I'd be upset about losing, and someone would go, oh yeah, but it shouldn't matter that, like, trying to say it in a comforting way, I think, but they would go, like, it shouldn't matter that much to you. It's not like you're playing all the time. And I would just tell them, like, no, like, I hate where my life's at right now, and all I'm doing in my free time is trying to get better at this game, and I am not doing it well, I'm not doing productively because I'm way too emotional about it, but, like, no, as much as you're trying to give me this out, I feel terrible because I put the effort in. Because if I earnestly didn't and told you that, and I was outside doing skateboard tricks and playing soccer, then, like, yeah, I would not give a shit about this.
Yeah, no, that's I respect a lot that you are willing to sit in that, because that's something that like I'm still very like reticent to do, is look at something like that and say, no, I want this. I'm going to put everything I have in making it happen, and then like when I'm out the other end, whichever way it went, like I'll hold that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I I think that is somewhat just the competitive games autism of, like, I don't see the alternative. In my head, anyone that is not acting in that way is just being duplicitous. Like, is they don't mean it. Like, surely you care if you win at League of Legends.
Only League of Legends. No, I should. That is like that is something I should get, because it's not, it's my first fighting game, but it's not my first competitive game, and I have competed in other games at relatively high level, at least like online, mostly because the games I played were kind of niche, so big fish in a small pond kind of deal.
Mm.
So it's not like my first brush with competing in that respect, but there's always still like the team dynamic, and that was like one part where the motivation to not let someone else down is a very, very, very strong motivating factor for me, at least.
Interesting.
Many times stronger than than if it were just me and my ego.
Yeah, for me it's the opposite. Like, the idea of letting someone else down stresses me out, but it doesn't make me play better. It doesn't make me lock in. It just makes me, like, shut down.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm conscientious about wasting someone's time, which I don't think that's a particularly healthy way to look at it. I don't necessarily think I would look at it that way these days, but that's sort of how it felt at the time. And I don't know. I'm sure anyone who like grew up playing a team sport like semi seriously, probably like there's some aspect of that, right?
That's fair. So what you're saying is, if you were playing 2xKO duos with the bag on the line, you would be so motivated.
The thought did cross my mind. Yeah, if I were playing and Super Noon was my partner, I might try and play with my whole ass, just to not waste Super Noon's time and no one else's.
Zion hits you up, says he needs your Erlawi on that screen. You're not doing it for him.
Well, my first question is gonna be like, really? But I don't know. Is he nice? Like, if I'm putting it all in, it's gotta be worth it to me. We gotta get that bag.
I say, if you're not winning that $8,100 Canadian dollars, why are you entering?
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, you might win $20 playing Strive.
God, wouldn't that be the day?
Better yet, you might get into the movie channel on a Discord.
Wait, what's the movie channel?
You do well enough at Guilty Gear Strive. You get special Discord roles with all of your oomps who are good at Guilty Gear Strive.
Oh yeah,
it's a very competitive market.
Yeah, wouldn't you? Oh, do you think those Discords are a fun place to be?
I think if you're the type of person who earnestly enjoys those dynamics rather than wanting to be part of something and negotiating part of yourself for them, I think, yeah.
I can see that.
Like, I think part of it is just I don't know, at this point I'm just casting judgment on people different than I am, but I think a lot of it
It's
is,
so fun to do.
I'm saying. I do think part of it is just like, I've been earlier in my 20s, late in my teens, like, in the group chat with my buddies. Like, I think it really is just, it's not deeper than that.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I shouldn't be so dismissive about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was equally being dismissive to begin with. It's fun being dismissive.
Being flippant, also avoided. Earnesty. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing in current year 2026.
Yeah, no, it is tough. Like, every bone in my body constantly wants to be dishonest, and sometimes I have to let that monster out and just tell blatant lies to people.
Try picking up Geo. She's honest.
How honest?
The most in the game.
More honest than Soul Bad Guy.
Yeah, have you seen his new move? It's so good. It's so broken.
Now you're being dishonest.
How could you tell?
Justin's sitting there right now doing his dishes. He's getting upset.
Sorry, Justin, might be.
I think Nago's plenty honest. It's just strike throw. It's strike throw on a timer.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's not like you can't see the blood gauge for yourself. It's not like only your opponent has it.
It's true. Both
That'd be crazy if you had to wear like special glasses that made it visible on the screen.
That's the secret. I'm not looking at the blood meter. The real blood meter's in my head with the math applied.
Yeah, you're doing the calculations. Elle's music really is playing.
I'm not doing math. I am visualizing little chunks going up and down. Like,
Makes sense. I mean, it would just take a lot of it would take a lot of brain power if you didn't like internalize some of it.
yeah. No, exactly. Like, it really is just like, I don't know. I assume it's the same for most Nago players, but like, a lot of limit testing goes into it for me of just like, there will be those rounds where I just like pop doing something and kind of just like, yeah, just trying it, especially in casuals. Like, I don't know, when I'm playing casuals, I am just limit testing. I'm going like, okay, yeah, we're playing scrims. If we dive here, or do I live? Because, like, especially with the new move, so much of my sets this week have just been like, you know what? How many Fukios can I do out of this? How much can I do this? How much can I do that?
Right.
It's very interesting. Like, that is what makes the character interesting to me.
Yeah, I do think, like, complaints about the new move aside, +6 and all that, I do think conceptually it's a incredibly cool move for like the type of character Nago is. That it really lets you like there's a lot of like opportunity for expression and testing things out around the edges there. That I'm sure like a dedicated player could really like get the most out of.
Yeah, especially with a bit of the removal of expression with the H cancels going away. I think this was a really nice compromise of not just going, yeah, fuck it, you can have them back, but still giving Ignago a bit more room to play expressive versus kind of just being like, yeah, okay, cool. This is what I do in the matchup. Did I clip you with my move on the counter hit? Do I know the route? Haha.
Yeah, the removal of those buttons, like, I guess, like, hitting someone for that much damage off one button, like, probably feels kind of good, but at what cost?
Yeah. I don't know, it's made some matchups very funny, like, Asuka's very funny, like, you've remarked before watching me play against Asuka, just like, this really is just the 5H matchup, you get to Blood 2, and you go, yeah, cool, hit you with 5H. Okay, next time I hit you, you're gonna be out of mana, you wanna lose all your health? What is it that
Do you want to lose everything?
Yes, no. There is no option that leads you away from this. What is it that you like about Geo? What makes that character click with you?
Step dash.
That's it? That's how we're feeling?
Okay. it is kind of hard to articulate because like when I picked up the game, I really didn't have any particular character in mind I was going to play, and I really was just like scrolling through a bunch of characters as I was playing my my friend who was a Faust main at the time. And Geo's was definitely just the one that like I got the most quickly because I do think the step dash is very nuanced, but it is also pretty intuitive to use with how like it carries momentum and stuff like that, and how it's active and like basically immediately. I think also like I think I do tend like Kagura is the one exception, but I otherwise do tend to like playing the boring character in even when the game is like really crazy and expressive and like filled with characters with wacky mechanics. I just want to be like, I'm just gonna be the one who tries to frame trap you, man. Like I maybe that comes down to what we're talking about with how I am better at learning the player matchup, because when you have a character like that with a more fundamental toolkit, it could sort of frees you up to focus more on the player and less on like your game plan.
Yeah, you're not going, how will I get my wacky Eddy set up? You're not going, what cards are in my hand? You're not going, how do I match my blood? You can just go, how you feeling? How am I feeling? Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I was that type of player when I first started playing fighting games. And then Persona 4 Arena Ultimax came out, and Giona made a video about how broken Minazuki was and how cheap he was. So I learned 3 Minazuki BNBs and won a ton against my friend, and since then I have played characters like Minazuki and Nagoriyuki.
You do like the boss characters.
I like doing a strong thing.
Boss character? I don't know shit about Persona.
Not really. He's like, he's a character for shitheads. Like, I am by no means an expert at the game, but like, from what I have played of it and my understanding of the character, everyone has their universal system mechanics. Like, you've got your sweep, you've got your armored overhead, etc. Part of his gimmick is that his universal mechanics are a little bit better. Like, his armored overhead also side switches. His sweep is pretty long range and hits twice. If you do his DP and it whiffs or blocks, you can do another DP in the air.
Yeah, that would be... I could see that being the type of character I would enjoy, because... Yeah, okay, you telling me I don't have to like learn anything new on top of like the basic game mechanics? Just for me, all those mechanics are better? Like, say less.
Yeah, no, like he is a bit of a Giovanna. Like he has a little projectile. He has one that's very fast and low, one that's pretty slow and mid, and like they're not your plan A. You do them to go, hey, you should approach me, so that you can then fish with your big ass move. Like you play an honest game. You knock them down, you do your mix-up, you annoy them, until you get your read, you hit them, you do your juggle combo, and you're a real shithead about it. His 5B advances and hits twice, like... Your plan is just that you're getting in their face and you're being a problem.
I do see the resemblance. I think like, what you're describing with system mechanics, it sounds like Geo's unique mechanic is... kind of the laziest unique mechanic in the game, right? Like, it's just, I'm just better when I have meter. Like, I don't have to like do anything. I just get to have that.
You win prizes for watching.
Yeah, basically. Like, I just get rewarded for doing the thing I was gonna do anyway on any character. Neat. And they've slowly been making that mechanic more relevant to her toolkit over time, right? Like now she moves faster with it. And then now she like holds on to it for a little bit after spending the meter, which is just fucked up. Yeah, that's kind of how that reads to me.
It is an interesting part of her kit.
It is. It's something I don't often play around consciously, but then in the crucial moments where it's like, okay, well, wait, I can just checkmate someone with a block string here, that kind of thing. If I don't spend, like, I know they're holding this. Yeah, it comes out in interesting places. Or also just catching someone who forgets that Geo does chip damage on a normal, and then they're not FDing.
Yeah. You played a secondary bedman for a bit. What was the motivation on that one?
Uh, I would say, but I still have a secondary bedman. I just need to learn now that they took his JK route, his JD into like instant jump JK. They took that and they gave it to Giovanna, which I find really funny. uh, but the appeal there, I really like his theme. I like that he's like really fucked up looking. Like that's definitely just a design that I've never seen in any other game. And I guess I do tend to really like unique movement because I do find his air dash like very very fun to use once you like. It's a little unintuitive how it works, but once you get it, like get it. And then yeah, I think his like follow up mechanic is you feel really 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 good like when you actually do use it properly as like a combo extension or to make something safe. You feel way smarter than the character actually requires you to be. Like way smarter than you have any right to.
I feel that. He's definitely like he's one of those characters where like you look at him and you go, how the fuck does this work? And then if you really once again, if you understand how to put A, B, and C together, it does somewhat become actually, you know what? It's not that hard.
It's just a different A, B, and C. Like his JS, he uses it to start his offense the way that like another character would like use a ground button. Yeah. Right? It's just stuff like that. Is kind of different with him. A little bit like how Faust is tricky, quote unquote, but really it's just like his normals are funny. Like his 2Ks is anti-air, which is unusual. But like okay, well once you know that, okay, like it's fine. But yeah, I guess there is also the like Bedman is definitely a character for shitheads, and being a shithead is funny.
Yeah, but also it's a game for shitheads.
Very absolutely.
Like I was. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I do think like. I do feel like Bedman's brand of like shitheadery with the like he's really like his explosions and stuff that really just like completely shroud out his mix. Like I find that annoying. Like
he is a shithead amongst shitheads.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do think he like cranks it up a bit.
I think that Guilty Gear as a franchise, and especially Strive, considering that is the game I feel like I have the most authority to speak on this sort of thing on, but I think that Guilty Gear in general as a franchise is very good at just making characters who have interesting normals to use. Like I find part of what made me want to jump around the cast so much was just like, so this is how this character's 5k works. Yeah, okay, this is kind of like this other 5k, or what the fuck, this is nothing like any 5k I've ever used before. And just slowly kind of building up that framework is very interesting. Like, kind of, like you're saying with that specific, like, his 2ks is anti-air. Like, a lot of what I found interesting on Abba was just having a 2s anti-air.
What, you mean I gotta press different button?
Yeah. Every once in a while.
It is actually sort of surprising design-wise how much like that does contribute to making characters feel distinct. Like it should be a small thing, just that like, they fundamentally have the same suite of buttons in that they have an anti-air and they have a like poke and they have, their ideal combo starter. But like literally something as small as just switching around, which each of those are bound to, does make them feel surprisingly distinct, in a way that like some games that really, really, really flatten that, really don't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I find, I don't know, maybe people would disagree with me on this, but I find that Strive does a very good job of making the characters fun to learn.
Yeah, I can see that.
Part of that may just be that there isn't as much depth there, so it feels a bit easier to feel like you're getting it, but like, I don't know, I do always find that after watching a few matches, I can kind of just go, yeah, here's the baseline of what I can put together, versus a lot of other games, I kind of just go, I sort of got this. Which is a different kind of fun, I think. Like, I I could not play nearly as many characters in BlazBlue casually as I do in Strive, but I still find it very fun every time I go back to Naoto. Like, I'll spend a few days learning stuff and go, yeah, okay, I get it a little bit more. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah, I do think Strive characters are very, like, for the most part, very pick-upable, which I think is genuinely really impressive given how distinct they all feel. Compared to, like, I think about, I don't know if it still really is this way, but, like, I think about Street Fighter 6 on release, and characters felt pretty samey, not necessarily to play, but because they, like, the best characters were pretty much uniformly Shoto types who just kind of were a little bit overtuned. And kind of the more distinct and out of that mold the character was, basically just the worse they were, pretty much uniformly. So I think Strive, like, for all of its trimming down on the number of specials and, like, you know, the Gatlings and all of that, I do think the, like, feeling of distinctness that they've kept for each character under that restricted lens is actually, like, it's pretty commendable and pretty impressive. Alongside just how, you know, all things considered, throughout most of the game's life, it's been pretty well balanced for how distinct all the characters are. Like, there really should be some matchups that, like, I think other developers would absolutely handle worse.
You know? I can see that.
So that's one thing you know, when the rhetoric around Strive gets, like, really toxic, that is kind of one thing I remember.
Yeah, no, I'm never quite sure how much I can weigh in on that sort of thing, because I am just kind of like, Nago has never been truly bad. I can't put myself in the shoes of someone who has just played a bad character in this game. But also at that point, as you're saying, characters aren't that hard to pick up. What if I went to Champ Select?
Yeah, they're not that hard to pick up, and, you know, I can respect being a loyalist. Like, I've only really flirted with the Bedman secondary. And, you know, Gio's had a pretty easy ride in that respect, all things considered. Like, she's never been bad. But yeah, I think, like, the gap between the best character in the game and the worst character, I don't think has ever been, like, that awful when you look, like, more broadly, right? Like, everything's relative.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's been that bad.
Oh yeah, I think that the game definitely has always had an S tier. But I do think it's one of those things where, like, if you took away that S, B being your worst tier in a lot of patches is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, like, I think if you took, like, season, I don't know, but 2.5, like, right before Wild Assault Strive, I think if you took that and you just, like, hit Happy Chaos and Nago in the head with a hammer, that's a pretty well balanced game you have.
Keep it as is.
It is one of those things that does make me wish that the the old style of releasing new editions of the game is still around. Like, I would like to go back to earlier seasons and see if it's just, like, nostalgia goggles, or, you know, if it's still worth playing. Like, I do think it's really cool that I can still boot up vanilla Street Fighter 4 if I wanted to.
Yeah. I thought it was very funny. There was a setup at a random monthly that just, for whatever reason, loaded up on Season 2 of Guilty Gear Strive. And a bunch of people were really excited to play their character into Nagori Uki with special cancels. Or not special cancels, but age cancels. And I found that so funny. I was just like, damn, you like the season so much that you want to play against a more broken Nago.
Truly, distance does make the heart grow fonder.
Yeah. No, I keep saying, like, I'm so excited for 5 years from now, when some new Guilty Gear game comes out, that all of the people that were 18 when Strive came out go, this game's shit. All of the impressionable children that talk to them and go, you must be right. You're pretty cool. Yeah, this game is shit. Let me play Strive. Strive's cool.
You must be an unk. You played Strive.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for a bunch of people to sit down at the setup and get a whole new generation of people sitting down, not having played against Nago, and not understanding that they're supposed to say, this character's fucking stupid, instead of, that was really cool.
it's the gift that never that keeps on giving.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere in the world, it's somebody's first game against Nagoriyuki. There's still light in their eyes. They still think it's hype.
Oh, that is also one thing. You asked me before about like why Bedman.
Yeah.
That is a character where, like it. If I had like a more depth of knowledge on Giovanna, I'd probably be able to do this more and like do more obscure kind of stuff. But with like gimmicks and knowledge checks. But like Bedman is just a character that people tend to not know the matchup for to begin with. So in that sense, he can be a nice character to have in the pocket, just to throw out sometimes and be like, okay, well, have you been doing your homework? Let's see, because most people are going to know the Geo matchup.
That's fair, especially in Montreal.
Yeah.
For context, we have pretty much always had at least one pretty good Geo player. I would like to ask you about two more things. One a bit more on the broader topic. One circling back to the thing of fear of failure, vulnerability, all of that. Just to, I think it's an interesting topic. Which one do you want to start on? Which one do you want to end on?
Okay, wait. One of them was broader. One of them was about being a baby.
Yeah, one of them's about being a baby, and one of them's about playing with toys.
Let's play with toys first.
All right. You were mentioning before that you'd competed a bit in other games. I know you well enough to know that those were largely shooters. You got the floor. Talk about some shooters. What was that? What was that like? Where were you playing? Was it GG's?
Well, let's see. Like I said, big fish in a small pond, because the ones I would point to are the one I have the most hours in for sure was Global Agenda, which for those who don't know was like Hi-Res's first game before they did Tribes Ascend and then Smite. It was an original IP for them. The game's ass, don't play it, but also it's really, really cool, and there's no game like it, and I still miss it sometimes. It had a very unique. Its flow of combat was really unique because the mobility in it. Every character had like a jetpack, and so you were always like really looking all around you. Like fights could get very aerial, and it wasn't just like a short jetpack like in the Halo games where like in Halo Reach where your jetpack lasts just a little bit to like get up to the next ledge or something. Like the game is built around having this jetpack and flying and fighting in the air, which gave it just a very unique feel. Outside of that, it was kind of an MMO, but in PvP, it basically was like a classic team shooter with the sort of like TF2-esque classes.
How long could you stay airborne?
Like I want to say approaching 10 seconds, maybe like less than that. So it's enough to like really like unload a full clip and like still find somewhere to land afterwards.
Right.
Which just like gave it a very unique feel. And then the ground movement was relatively slow. Outside of like some special abilities and stuff.
Gotcha.
So yeah, like it had this like persistent kind of clan versus clan mode where you would be taking territories. It really wasn't very popular, even within the game. Like not a lot of people played it, but it did have like a pretty tight knit competitive community there, where I made a lot of friends who like some of them I still keep in touch with. And this was I think I was 14 when I was playing this game, so that's saying something. There was also similarly enemy territory Quake Wars, which is the enemy territory Return to Castle Wolfenstein, except they did it in the Quake universe, which is really weird. Yeah, that was a splash damage game, like kind of the asymmetrical like attack and defend, kind of like TF2 or like Overwatch style, except larger maps and kind of more varied objectives for the attacking team. Yeah, it's another one that there really aren't a lot of games like those ones that spoke to me at the time. That one had Again, a relatively different game feel from what's kind of popular today. And then the scale of map was more like 16 versus 16, I think. But it still was that asymmetrical style, which you don't often see, I think. Like a lot of games with the higher player counts are more like capture point format, right? Like I'm thinking like Battlefield.
Yeah.
And then what else?
If we can stay on that for a second, I'm curious, like, when you're saying the objectives were kind of unique, like, would you be down to describe a map or two's, like, was it per map objective, or how did they work?
Yeah, so they were different for each map. So in TF2, like, or Overwatch, there's really only ever escort payload or capture a point, right? Like there isn't really those are kind of the canonical ones, I guess.
Yeah, they had both King of the Hill and 2CP and Overwatch, like both are basically just a flavor of capture the point, and then they have some kind of payload disguised as a robot now that you can push back and forth,
Right,
but I think that's still just also pushing the payload.
Yeah, I'm talking. I guess I should restrict it to specifically like their asymmetrical attack and defend modes, right? The kind where in competitive mode, like where in ranked, you'd have to do it like both sides switch attack defend.
Right.
So that tends to be you're always only ever like standing on the floor somewhere or like pushing a payload. Whereas, yeah, like some of the splash damage type games would have those. You'd escort like, whatever armored tank or something like that. But they'd have some where that tank could actually be damaged, and you would need to have your engineering class repairing it to be able to continue it moving. So it actually wasn't about standing on the point. It was about like blowing up this tank to disable it for the defending team. And they'd have other ones where you had to like get into the base and steal like whatever thing and then deliver it to another point.
Capture the flag.
And yeah, but within that like asymmetrical attack defend style. So it's just one team trying to capture the flag while the other team's job is just purely to defend it.
Yeah.
And then they would mix and match these objectives, so you might have 2 or 3 on one map, but they're all different. Which just it's something I don't feel like I've seen a lot since then.
Were the matchups simultaneous, or was it like Overwatch style of like sometimes you have a capture point into a payload?
Yeah, it would be sequential. Like
Okay.
Not all of them. Some of them were. Yeah, some of them would actually split you. So that's another thing that was kind of unique because it had the larger player count, so it could kind of do that. But yeah, so it just made every map feel like very distinct. And one thing I didn't really appreciate at the time was that it would give every map a really different meta strategy for both teams, just because like the nature of the objectives kind of necessitated that. In a way that I don't see as much in competitive shooters today. So that was always really cool. And then, yeah, I guess the other category was just classic arena shooters, like Unreal Tournament 2004 is still my darling. And then and then Guns. That was a classic. The bit of carpal tunnel I have in here is purely from learning the movement tech in that game. So. Yeah, that's I get to carry that with me as a souvenir from my time playing that and doing the clan wars there. Oh, that's also where I landed on the controversial opinion that pay to win is fine.
Why is that?
Because okay, so a lot of other games will do pay for convenience, which means the design has to inconvenience you, which I find really annoying. I'd rather just like get the quality of life up front, even if that involved an upfront cost. Like I feel that way about like MMOs and stuff like that. But pay to win, like the next whenever the new round of weapons come out in the shop, and it's like 0.1% better than the previous round that came out. So yeah, you are getting damage inflation, you are getting power creep that way. But unless you're a competitive player, like it's nothing. It's so little, and if you are a competitive player, it's basically just like it's a subscription fee of a couple bucks every like 3 months that you kind of pay to stay on the current, like within the meta. And like I don't know, I that if I had like one searing hot take about gaming, I think that would be it. That like I think those old Korean competitive shooters and MMOs, honestly, they might have been onto something because I don't love the pay for convenience as much as I think most people.
That's fair. I think when I was younger and I did not have the money to pay, I was down for pay for convenience because, like, by all means, God forbid a young entrepreneur log on to Warframe and spend 15 hours making $5 Canadian.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Is that whichever angle you're coming at it from would definitely like change your perspective there.
Oh yeah, I think your take I 100% agree on as an adult. As a teen, half of the fun was not having to pay by inconveniencing myself because I had unlimited time.
Even like, I can say that's probably like majority of people land on that position. I played guns when I was like 13, so
Yeah.
At the time, like I don't think I was buying even when I was playing the most competitively, like I wasn't getting the latest weapon all that frequently. I'd get it once in a while, because didn't exactly have steady income as a 13-year-old. Who would have thought?
Were the numbers just straight up better on new weapons?
They would be, but it would be by very, very, very little.
Okay, yeah, that's what you're saying of like it's a marginal increase, but like probably in the gacha way of like if you haven't played a gacha game for 5 years and you come back, you go, wow, my numbers are way lower. But if you just didn't pull for a patch or two, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. My gun fine.
It's fine. So even then I sort of came to that position of like, all right, fine, fuck it, I'll just gap for a while.
Fair enough. Play a little Giovanna.
Exactly. I've still had the same mindset this whole time.
Just a humble go-getter.
Truly. Oh, and then I guess the one other outlier before we switch on this topic would be Guild Wars 1. That is also that game has my heart truly forever.
PvP or PvE?
I for a game that I played competitively at a high level, PvP, but the whole game in general, I have a lot of nostalgia for because it's another game where that like there's just nothing like it currently like on the market today. Really, I mean,
what would you say made it unique?
I suppose I could be going out on a limb because I don't know every popular game that's out there.
Yeah, that's fine. But like, telling them how you feel. Disclaimer: this is not legally binding.
Sure. Because Guild Wars, this whole thing was that it was buy to play, but it was you could play it like an MMO, persistent online and stuff like that. But the way they pulled that off without needing a subscription fee was that the game was actually it was instant. So you'd have like public towns and outposts and stuff like that where you could group up with players. But then the minute you went out into the environment to fight whatever or like do a campaign mission, it would be a private instance just for you and your party. So the way it actually played was a lot more like playing a classic like D&D style RPG. It felt like playing Dragon Age Origins, but like multiplayer. Like if I went into a town, I could find someone to play co-op with, basically. But it still had like very much a story-based campaign that you could go through, and so like that format. And the campaign was long and I think very, very satisfying to play through. Like it wasn't one where you get through the base game and you try and tear through it to get to the good stuff. Like I think it was worth playing, and I know it holds up. I went back to it not that long ago, but it also was one of relatively few games these days I think where up until its final expansion, the end game really was PvP. Like you could make a PvP character already at max level with basically all the skills you had unlocked account wide and jump right in if you wanted to. And it was about like these really kind of like fast-paced arena battles or these larger like guild wars. Go figure.
No way.
So and then there was just like a lot of interesting builds and stuff like that. It had a super flexible like multi-classing system. There's just so much stuff that it did that was really unique and hasn't been replicated, and particularly not by Guild Wars 2, which is a game I still like, and definitely has its own appeal and does a lot of things I think are really cool, but is just not really a sequel to the first game in that respect.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's super super different.
What changed?
Well, for one, it is a proper MMO. It has the full persistent world. It was still buy to play initially, and then it went free to play. Also big on the pay for convenience thing that I mentioned, but ultimately very very fair. Like they've really stuck to not doing pay to win, which I can still respect.
Even if it's against your ethos.
Yeah, even if I'm like, you know what if I want to pay so I can win?
Just buy a dog for your Sims. It'll feel so good.
But no, the entire like cadence of combat in Guild Wars 2 is way 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 different. It's much faster because you have free movement and you have the way it would play in like later in the game or in PvP in that game, because I started off wanting to be a PvP player in that game before they kind of abandoned it. It felt like you were playing like an action game, except to like do your combos and stuff like that, you had to do like an MMO rotation, but you needed still like the movement and sort of the faster reflexes of an action game,
right?
Which was pretty unique, and I like that also is something I haven't really seen done all that much elsewhere.
Yeah, it's cool description.
Yeah, it's it was also still pretty interesting, but the direction it went in and how it didn't really iterate on a lot of the stuff the first game did, I thought was unfortunate.
Thank you for sharing. We're around the time you initially told me that you would want to go cook food. I am up to either try to make my last thing fairly succinct. I am up to pause for a bit, pick it up after, or I am down to call it here. How are you feeling?
I'm not in any rush.
All right, cool. Just want to make sure. Want to be conscious of your time.
I've still got about a third of this can of beer.
Okay, gotcha. That's where the blood meter's at?
Exactly.
Cool. As mentioned, just took a little break to recollect my thoughts. Switch from playing with toys mode. Yeah, as we were talking about earlier, just it's very hard to be earnest sometimes. It's very hard to be vulnerable about, I don't know, fear of failure, anxiety around that, whatever else. Yeah, I think a lot of people either retreat into some caricature of themselves as a competitor or just outright go, yeah, fuck it, I don't care. I find that a lot with creative endeavors. Like you were also mentioning earlier, or like you were saying with music, like, I don't know, I think that's something I hit a lot with what I'm doing right now, where I'm like, it feels hard to find a middle ground between, yeah, fuck it, there's some amount of just, there's a charm to doing a DIY thing at the level you're at, just seeing where it goes, but I find that also makes it a bit harder to improve. Like, that was the big thing I changed with my Strive play, was moving away from that sense of like, but I don't want to practice, I don't want to learn shit, I'll just play and I'll get there slowly. And you do get there slowly, but I don't know, I think that there's an element of cheating yourself there, of going, but I'm doing it in the way that won't hurt my ego that much if it doesn't work. And I think where I'm at right now with doing interviews, whatever else, is somewhat just, it's fun to talk to people, it's fun to try to get to know people, but also there is always an internal feeling of like, I don't know, what is my purpose in making this? What am I trying to say? And some of the time it's just, other people are interesting. It's interesting to have a conversation, trying to frame that, but I don't know, all of that to say, just where do you think the optimal place to draw that line is between being a fake ID gaffer and Mr. Wants It So Goddamn Bad His Tummy Hurts?
I mean, the advice I would give, even if I struggled to follow it myself, would be it's the boilerplate, be invested in the process, not the result, right? But I do think what I would add to that sort of typical advice would be that the parts of the process you're invested in, you should have a not such a narrow view of what that looks like, because you're talking about how like with your interviews, you might get to a point where, yeah, okay, you're doing a lot of interviews, but are you really improving? Like, or are you just kind of going through the motions? Does it start to feel kind of rote? Okay, I've done, however many interviews this month. Like, do I actually feel like I got a month's worth better at it? Right? Is that? I think there's still value. So there's ways that you could, of course, like actively try and like have something to show for with each interview. Try, try taking a new angle with your questioning. Learn a new editing technique when you put it all together in post. Like, there's stuff like that. But also, like, I do think there is real value in just, I'm doing this consistently, and now it's a habit, and now that doing it is automatic, like, I'm sort of building the foundation for improvements to come, like, almost passively. Because that is one thing that I have noticed with my Strive play, and part of what, like, occasionally I feel the pull, like, oh man, like, there's potential here, and I want to give more of myself to it, is, like, I only really play at the locals these days, but sometimes I'll still do stuff that surprises me because I've been showing up steadily and it's a habit. So as much as I might try to like convince myself, like, oh, I'm not really paying attention, I don't really care, I'm not that invested, like, there's clearly still stuff I'm learning from week to week, like, whether I realize it or not.
Yeah, I think aside from that layer one, I don't have my skate shoes joke that I was mentioning earlier, like, I do think that you seem like you care lately.
I haven't made up my mind for about 18 months. So,
you seem like you want to care.
I think I do. But is that me getting invested in the result because I've surprised myself and now I want it, or am I actually like willing to be invested in the process?
Right.
That's the thing, right?
That's fair.
Or is it just that, like, oh, I got close to this result that I wanted, I bet if I pushed I could get it? Because that works for some people, but it comes with risk.
I don't think it's the type of person you are.
I don't think so either, right?
The metaphor I use there is burning sustainable versus unsustainable fuel. And I think that there are people who can burn that unsustainable fuel for a very long time. I think it warps other aspects of their personality and their life. But they can make that work. And there are also people where, like, there are players I can think of in Strive even that, like, I very much modeled my play after when I started playing and just kind of, like, very clearly hit that point of, yeah, I really gave it my all for this stretch of time. I'm gonna do something else now. And I don't know, if I can make a suggestion, I think that you need to find that middle ground of just, you care about doing good, you care about playing to a standard. But the thing that has really helped me is just making that standard an internal thing rather than a goal of, like, even winning or losing. Of, like, funnily, a friend of mine and that I take the bus to work with, if every week, on Tuesday he goes, you going to locals? And I go, yeah. If it's a Strive week, I go, yeah. And then the next day at the bus stop, he'll go, how was local? And I go, I had fun. And he goes, so you won? And I go, no, I don't know. Either, like,
I press button.
Won some close ones, lost some close ones, but, like, I'm happy with how I played, describe some interactions, and he'll go, yeah, okay, I guess. You should win, though.
It is very easy to slip into being that guy. And that would be the double-edged sword for me there. Because, like, I would find myself asking, like, okay, if I had a really close call and I was upset with the result, like, do I have a right to be upset about this when I haven't been putting the work in? Like, yeah. and just get into, like, start invalidating myself on that and just, like, really just make it all worse over that, right? Because I don't think that's a particularly healthy way to look at it. Like, feel whatever you need to feel about it is what I would tell literally anyone else, right?
But that's always the thing.
Regardless of how much work you put in, but
telling anyone else is easier than telling yourself sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, so you mentioned, like, that's how you look at playing Strive. So I'll flip that back on you and ask you, like, what does that look like in your process for doing these interviews? Like, is there, with sort of divorcing yourself from what the end product looks like or how it does, are there things about the process that you can feel good about?
I generally think so. Like, that is the approach I take to it. I think part of why I'm asking you that question is that I figured you would probably go, I'm the wrong person to ask that, and I struggle with that myself, and then give me a very good answer for it, because it's something you think about. It is something.
What?
Yeah, I mean, there is a Charlie Kaufman's speech about screenwriting that I really like. That it's a bit of a cliche thing, and I think he even acknowledges it when he's saying it. But he says, I think he's even quoting someone else. But for most people, writing is very easy. Being a writer is being someone for who writing is hard, and I think that applies to most. I think that applies to most things you care about. Like, if it really doesn't matter to you, it doesn't even enter your mind that you would have to seem like you don't care, because you just genuinely don't. But in those things you really want to invest yourself into, it's so easy to overthink. It's so easy to tell yourself, but am I doing it right? Instead of just asking yourself, am I doing it? Because at the very least, if you are doing it, you will eventually be doing it better. And right or wrong are very ambiguous things.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't heard that quote before. I quite like it. I do think, like, so with creative stuff specifically, I think it's easy to. This is very much another like do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, of course.
Type thing, but it's really really easy to get stuck in the earlier stages of whatever the thing is you're making, because like you really want to get that part right before you move on to the next one. Otherwise, it's not worth it. I think that's a trap. I think like there's just a certain amount of stuff that's going to be like amateur and mediocre that you just like you gotta finish it and you just gotta put it out there to like get it out of your system. Like there's just an amount you have trapped in your body right now and it needs to get out.
Sometimes you gotta run it down.
Yeah, and you don't do that unless you finish it front to back and then put it out there. Like you can't just be practicing the first part of it, because you'll stay mediocre at the latter parts of the process then, unless you also kind of go through those and you build the familiarity there. So that was one thing with making songs is like these days I really just make some 8-bar loops and I just jam, or I do it with one of my friends back in my hometown. We get together and whatever we make, like that's just for enjoying the afternoon and having a beer, and that's cool. But even that, like I got so much better at doing that kind of thing because when I was trying to finish songs, like I was going through the entire process. I got familiar with every step of the process, going from the 8-bar loop to a full arrangement to mixing to mastering, or like self-mastering, even if it was like kind of mediocre, and like that has real value.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's the that's the only bit of wisdom I feel like I can give that I've actually like I have learned from.
Yeah, thank you. I think it was insightful. I think you put words to a lot of things that I felt able to internalize but not vocalize, and in those moments where you start doubting yourself, I think it's very easy to go, but I can't vocalize it, so I don't understand it.
Yeah. Oh, I think for what you're doing as well, and we talked about this before, like I think even if it's interviews that you don't especially feel like amazing about or anything, they're still worth putting out there because it's just a cool project, and it gives people in the community like a chance to feel seen and to like feel like a celebrity for a little bit, and I think that's really cool.
Happy to provide something. Like, at the end of the day, I trust myself to be doing something that I think is interesting at the very least, and I think there is value to just doing something that you think is interesting.
Yeah, I think the right people will see it and I'll speak to them.
Thank you.
Maybe not a ton of the right people, but
that doesn't especially matter. end of the day, the goal of the project is to make some kind of human connection with people. Like, I think it's very easy not to do that. It's very easy to, especially in something like fighting games where you just, like you're saying, just your ego is at play to some extent. It's so easy to like even and go, ah, shit, I shouldn't be losing to this person. Ah, now I'm subconsciously upset at them. Ah, I beat this person a lot at the game. Therefore, I am more comfortable with them. Like, just engaging on that human level, remembering that there is a person behind whatever tag, whatever character, whatever it is, like, I don't know, it's, I don't know if it comes naturally to others, but to me, there's always a comfort in just depersonalizing yourself enough that you can just go, ah, but I didn't care, I wasn't wearing my skate shoes that day.
Yeah. Although I will say, I'll be blunt. If the point is to forge connections with people, this is you running a victory lap right now because we already know each other pretty well.
Oh, yeah, I mean, part of that is that my goals early on, not being familiar with a lot of the process, is just, yeah, part of what I need to learn at first is just being comfortable on camera, being comfortable holding a conversation, figuring out what I want my format to be, and that was something I realized through just like, sitting there or talking to Corey forever, is just like, if you really just need to shoot some hoops in the gym for a bit, like, fuck it, do it with your buddy.
I think that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, no, I would like to mix in some amount of like talking to people I'm less familiar with, but I think my immediate goal is just to sprinkle in a bit of, okay, yeah, this one's a bit of a walk-in. Okay, this one I need to work a bit harder on, be a bit more present for. As a way of not just getting overwhelmed and going, I should always be in the deep end or the shallow end.
I think that is a pragmatic, balanced approach. I wish I had been that thoughtful about it with all the endeavors that I'd had when I was first picking up music or whatever.
You
probably could have saved a lot of time.
Same time, you need to spend that time how you spent it. Like any ability I have to learn, any ability I have to process anything in my life is built out of the times that if I was nasty and had 30 more years of experience, I would have just snapped gone, but I have the life experience for this. I should do this here. But that also is just it. In your life, you have to show up and you just have to make it. And, as you were saying, you have one good day and then you have 2 good days, etc. You build some momentum for yourself. Interest compounds.
Is simply what it's about. But don't pressure yourself to have a full good week. That's asking a lot.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. You got anything else you want to shout out? You want to express? You want to voice? Or we good here?
Oh man, I really should have like some political message here to really leave. But this one is gonna be public. You know what? I'll leave it here before I start getting too off script.
GG's, had fun.
GG's.